What's up, y'all? G Blades. So what are we up to today? Well, we got this 24-layer billet of 1084 and 5920 Damascus. We're going to fire this bad boy back into the forge. We're going to stretch this out, and we'll have enough to be able to cut it in half. We're going to add this Damascus to this chunk of 80 CRV2. So we're going to make these two things into one thing. It didn't work. I guess we'll have to, work. There we go. Okie dokie. Looks like our steel's up to temperature. So we got our flat dies in the press. Nice flat press dies. Then we're going to take our hot steel and we're going to stretch it out. We're going to squish it a little more flat and then up on its end so that we can stretch the whole piece of Damascus out a little bit longer. It needs to be around 20 to 24 inches so that I can cut it in half and then weld it to the sides of our 80 CRV2. Here we go. It's almost there. It's just shy of 20 inches, I believe, right now. So we're going to keep stretching it out a little bit longer. I'm still going to have to cut both ends off. So I know I'm going to lose a little bit of length. Right now, I'm going to finish heating it up, throw it back in the press. We got a little bit longer that we're going to stretch it out. It's getting there. It's going to work. It's going to be worth it. Stay tuned, y'all. So, new things come with new challenges. So, one of the things I had to learn the hard way is making big Damascus. It ain't all gonna fit in the forge. So, not that difficult. Heat up half of it, manage that half, flip it around, grab it with a different pair of tongs, manage the other half. Kind of no big deal. Then we'll just smooth out the transition between the two halves that I stretch out. Let's get right into it. So it looks like we got the length that we need out of the Damascus. Next, we're going to be able to straighten it out, clean it up on our anvil with our hand hammer, and that'll give me a chance to make sure we have exactly the right length that we need. After we let it cool all the way down, we'll grind off all the crap on the outside, all the forged scale, which is all this really hard steel carbon that's on the outside, and it sheds it as we're manufacturing the Damascus. So I got to clean all that off, make sure we get a good clean forge weld. First, we're going to MIG weld 2 pieces of Damascus on the sides of an 80 CRV2 core. So really good, fantastic, nice steel. I love this stuff. But we want to dress her up a little bit. So we're going to get some Damascus on the sides. It's going to be a chef knife, y'all. Stay tuned. We got our low-level Damascus on our official cool-down cycle, so it's straight. It's basically the dimensions that I need. I'll have to lose a little bit of material whenever I cut off the ends and get rid of any weld material and forge scale. So it should be just about the right size for me to weld it onto our 80 CRV2. And here is our core steel. So this is going to be our core steel. It's going to get a lot thinner than this. So all 3 pieces of this is going to be one big piece. So we'll have Damascus on each side of our 80 CRV2 core, and then we'll MIG weld them together with our Eastwood MIG welder, and then we are going to go into our Clark iron forge, heat them bad boys up, squish them all together in the press. Stay tuned, y'all. Our base Damascus is forge welded and stretched out. Now we're going to go on our Ameribraid Fastback on a 36 grit ceramic belt, and I'm going to get this flat-ish. I'm going to hit it with 36, and then I'm going to hit it with an 80 grit, cut the ends off to make sure that I definitely get rid of anything that looks like that, any kind of junk Damascus, anything that's split, delaminated, cracked, or MIG weld material from MIG welding this billet together initially. I got to make sure all that material is out of there, and that should make my life a lot easier. So I'm only going to go to an 80 grit belt for right now, and then we're going to do a test etch, and that'll actually show us if there is any weld material in there, and it'll highlight any cracks. So we're going to check that out first. So on the belt grinder. after our 36 grit belt, I gave it a quick ferric chloride etch to see what the pattern looks like, number one. Number two, also to be able to find out, is there any weld material or any kind of forge scale left. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, she looks good. I'm quite happy with that. We can focus. There we go. So, I don't see any more weld material or forge scale. There's a little tiny bit of forge scale right there. That's okay. So now we will neutralize this acid, which is what we dipped it in, and that is ferric chloride and distilled water. Pretty gnarly stuff. If you're going to use it, be careful. Use gloves. Windex neutralizes it, which is awesome. Also baking soda and water. So we're now going to neutralize this ferric chloride that's on this steel. Cut it in half and surface grind it nice and dead nuts flat. Get ready to weld this Damascus onto that 80 CRV2 core. Coming up. Thing is just plain wicked cool, right? So this thing just has 4 magnets, and it actually holds the piece of steel perfectly straight, perfectly still. These magnets are crazy strong, so I'll be able to chuck this up on our mag chuck, surface grind it a few times to get it nice and straight and flat. I'll flip it over, get it nice and straight and flat again, make sure everything is all square on both sides. Then I will go and do our other chunk after cutting them in half, and they should line up very nicely on our 80 CRV2 core material. So after they're all nice and flat, we'll MIG weld them together, heat them up, throw them in the forge, and forge weld them together. Here we go. Okay, so we have our 3 pieces of steel that we are going to be welding together. So we're going to start off with a MIG weld, and that'll be kind of the structural integrity that holds everything together while we forge weld everything together, because that's going to be it's going to be a pretty hard process. So we got to have welds strong enough that nothing moves in the process of heating it up to almost 2,000 degrees. Forge weld all this steel together and make a one big part. Go right into it. Now welded together to be one piece of steel. We're going to get this forge lit, get it nice and hot, forge weld it in the press, make one super fine looking chef knife Damascus billet. Here we go, y'all.